What is up, fam? It has been a hot minute since I have done a solo stream here. Um, super excited to be here. There's a lot to discuss in the VeVe land and in the crypto land. But before we do, right, welcome to the Doctor of Stuff channel. I'm your host, Doctor of Stuff. Uh, as a disclaimer, anything I talk about here, these are just my own opinions. You guys, this is not financial advice. You guys got to do what's best for you. Right? Just put on your big boy pants, your big girl pants, take ownership of any decisions you make. I'll just be discussing the things that I'm interested in, the things that I'm doing. These are all opinions, right? Not financial advice, right? I'm not even a real doctor. Come on, guys. Let's just be honest here. Shout out real quick, right? I got my O'Malley Tees VeVe fam shirt on. I am super excited to go to San Diego Comic-Con and to see Deadpool, like Wolverine, Deadpool 3, right? Super pumped to see the fam there and to just, I don't know, see people in real life. Super pumped for that. Shout out to Truck and Hank, right? I appreciate that. He says, always love the Doc's practical perspectives. Looking forward to this one. Someone reached out to me and they were like, hey man, when you're live, like I like to listen while I'm driving. I can't watch the video, so I don't actually see the comments. So if you can read them, that was great advice. What up, Big A? It is a nice hat. I like this little Ecomi hat, man. Shout out to that Ecomi SR group. And Kumo, we need to chat. I watched that video on AI that you sent me. I mean, crazy. That's some crazy stuff. But hey, look, we got lots to talk about, right? We're going to talk about some of the interesting things in VeVe, things that are happening in crypto, how that impacts the whole space, right? So the first and foremost thing that we want to dive into, I don't know if you guys saw this. I got an email, and let me present my screen here. Let's do this. All right, let's share this. All right. So, okay, let's back up here. What I'm sharing here is actually an announcement back in April, I think. When was this? Yeah, April 15th, where Kartoon Studios, right, which tied to Stan Lee, partners with world's largest digital collectibles platform, VeVe, and Multiverse Clothing Company, Inc., for the first ever line of Stan Lee limited edition Phygital collections, right? And everyone was like, oh, this is awesome. And then they kind of forgot about it. But I didn't forget about it. And I was actually thinking about that. I'm like, it has to be coming up around San Diego Comic-Con. And what it's saying here, right, is the Phygital collections will be a blend of fine art with smart fashion and include special digital collectibles by VeVe. The limited edition apparel lines will come with Easter eggs that unlock various value adds for fans. In some cases, lucky fans will discover that they are now owners of priceless Stan Lee art signed by these world-famous artists. So I saw that and I was like, yo, that's gonna be pretty exciting, right? So let me stop there. We're gonna share the next screen here. And what happened is, I think yesterday or this morning, I got an email, right? And it had a link basically to this, where it's this VeVe drop, Stan Lee drop 1 series 1, and you can see these jackets. That's the physical piece there, and you've got like that 2 digital collectibles as well. You've got the Stan Lee sitting on the throne, like in gold and silver. That's freaking awesome. Then you also have this NFT poster here in the back. And then in the back, or on the back, in the inside of each jacket is that art. So that's pretty awesome. Now, what we know, right, is that this is the drop 1. And it says at San Diego Comic-Con, it's a blind release of limited edition numbered collectibles. So, like, I think it's going to be a drop. And I don't know what these are going to go for, like $200, $300, $400. Like, I don't know what it's going to go for and how many of them there will be. But there's going to be a second drop of actual like artwork, right? Let's see. So we will let you know to scan your Easter egg to access the Stanley's exclusive fine art drop too. And then it talks about these canvases here. So this is to even be able to access this second drop, you have to have landed that first drop, right? And then these are canvas art pieces here that are awesome. Now it will be interesting if some of these are actual, like the actual art, or like it's signed. I mean, it would be the actual art, but like if it's the original, that will be interesting to know. So pretty exciting. Like I'm really excited. In the email, it says like, hey, sign up to get like early access to the drop. So I don't know how that's going to work, how the people who get that are going to get early access to it, but it'll be very interesting to see how all of that plays out. I'd love to know your guys' thoughts too on this. I'm really excited for it. I mean, I really think these jackets, I really like this jacket, actually, like the inside jacket there. I'm hoping that it has a hood though. I'm a big hoodie guy, if you can't tell. Love hoodies. But then this jacket looks pretty sick too. So I bet it's blind box, right? So it'll be interesting to see if it's gonna say, well, hey, like I'm assuming that, like, are you gonna get your choice of like the size? Because that would suck if it's just like, okay, they're all like double extra large. It's like, no, I don't know how I feel about that. But yeah. Anyways, super exciting. That's like hot off the press, right? As of this morning, I believe, those emails. Shout out to Bean Tech for tagging me in that. I was like, where did you see that? I like went on to VeVe's website. I didn't see anything. And he's like, oh, it was in the email. Check my email and got that. So if you guys haven't, definitely check that out. You know, shout out here to Pixel Trader. Exciting times ahead. I agree, and I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that. There's some crazy stuff going on, guys, in the crypto landscape and like the regulatory landscape that I'm going to dive into. What up, Jomi? Jomi and I had a fun little conversation about Spain and Germany. Look, it was a great match. A lot of fun. I'm very excited for Spain to be in the final, the Euros. Hey, there we go. Bean Tech, I was just shouting me out. He says, hey. Okay. So on to the next topic, right? The VeVe gold and silver logo. Man, there was some drama there, right? Just like recently on Twitter and things. So for those of you who don't know, what's kind of happened is there's a guy on Twitter who's, I mean, his name is Michael Lecanto. He goes by Loco on Twitter. I think his VeVe account thing is Big Troll Loco, something like that. And I was in this Twitter Spaces, by the way, long time ago. And what had happened is David was speaking, and I don't know if Loco came up. I can't remember if he was already there. I think he came up. But then he was like, hey, David, I know that you like Magic the Gathering. Like I won the very first like world tournament of Magic the Gathering ever. And, you know, like he's got the articles to prove it and everything. And he's like, yeah, I would love to like sign some cards or something like that and send it your way. What's fuzzy, and I don't remember, and if anyone was actually there, that can speak to it. But I can't remember if he was like, oh, it'd be great if I could get that in return for a logo, or if then David promised him the logo. But regardless, like there was like you're going to get a logo, right? Like that, that was talked about there. So fast forward, right? And it's been quite some time since that space. And Loco had not gotten that logo. And he had done quite a bit. I mean, there's some more history there, but he had started to say some not so nice things about VeVe and vent his frustration, being like, I was promised this, and I feel like I deserve that, and like tweeting about it a lot, right? And just today or yesterday, that was, I think it was yesterday. It was airdropped to his account. He got this logo. And there were some people in the the VeVe fam who are pretty upset about that. And there's been a lot of discussion as to who gets a logo, who doesn't get a logo. You know, what's this all about? What's this all about? And then Superstar Money just did a video, and it was titled like the most corrupted or corrupted. Hold on, let me make sure I'm getting this right here. I just watched it. 2 seconds. The most corrupt collectible on VeVe. That's what it was called. And they talked about these different collectibles, and then the final one was this VeVe gold and silver logo. And they talked about how initially Dan and David had talked about how they were going to be giving out this gold and silver logo to people that they met in person, which was true. They had initially said that. And there's 500 of them. And so Dan got 250 and David got 250. And so the premise of this video is how basically this collectible has become corrupt, because they're not just giving it away. Now that it has value, they're using it in exchange for services. So for example, or for gifts. And they use this Loco example as like Loco gave David this, and so then David gave him that back. I want to be clear. First of all, I don't even think that's a good example, because it wasn't like David was like, hey, if you give me this, then I'll give you a logo. That's not how it went, right? So like like right then and there, because if it's corruptible, it'd be like, hey, if you do this for me, then I'll give you this. That's not what happened. So like to use that as an example and say, hey, this is corrupt. Like I can completely disagree with that premise on that first example. Just flat out, got to throw that out. Second of all, the second one was with Danny Boy Liac or Liac or Liac. I don't know how you pronounce it or what, but definitely a controversial figure. Did what to me appears to be, to this day, something sketch about the OTC deal that happened. We don't have clarity into what went on there. Whatever, right? So Danny Boy posts this picture of a supposed email. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't actually like real, with no context whatsoever. Basically saying, hey, like if we can put this behind you, like the premise of this clip or this picture is that says, hey, David is supposedly responding and saying, look, if we can put this past us or put this behind us, like I'll give you this gold and silver logo, because of all of your collecting, fandom in the past, something along those lines. And they use this as another example of like paying hush money or something. And I'm like, we don't even know the whole story. Look, I don't even know the whole story on the OTC thing, right? I can say like, hey, like, I think it's weird that no other company or like no other OTC deal has ever happened in the history of ever. And you would think that there would have been other even bigger whales that would have liked to have done OTC deals, and that didn't happen. And just the secrecy around that. I talked about that and say that's my support for why this seems sketch. It might not be sketch. It might be totally legit. I don't know. But that's why I'm pointing out that's why it seems sketch to me, right? But to use this picture from a tweet with no other context, right? We don't even know if it's real, first and foremost. But then, like, we don't know if Danny Boy Liac had actually asked for the logo in a previous conversation. And then David is like, look, yeah, if whatever disagreement they're having, like, if we can get past that, like, yeah, I'll give you a logo. Cool. Right? So to again, like, use that as like an example of how this is corrupt. Guys, like, I like Superstar Money. I really do. But like, I feel like those both like just not good examples. And so when I'm looking at that objectively, like, I feel like that's just like an attack on VeVe without a lot of support behind those things. That's my thing. Like, I look at that video and I just feel like this was like more of a hit piece. There was other collectibles. They're talking about the storied past where I'm like, yeah, like Spider-Man collectible. I don't know what happened there. The Obi-Wan collectible. I don't know what happened there. I have no issues with those examples and being like, hey, like there's this history tied to it that we're not. But in the same vein, right, when they're saying, hey, we don't know what happened here, then to use these as examples where it's like we don't even have the full context of this story, and we're going to use this to say that this is corrupt. I disagree with that premise, guys. Yeah, so really didn't like that video, and not because I don't like them. I like Superstar Money, and like I said, some of the other things that they talked about in the video, totally fine with, and I like that they bring up those questions. I think that that's great. But so I did want to share, and I'm sharing this because I think that Sanjay makes a great point here. Let me find this real quick, and then I'll share for those of you guys who might not have seen his tweet. Because in the video, they also talk about the fact that, like I said, the original thing that Dan and David were doing was giving these cards out to people in person. But that has shifted. So anyways, I'm gonna read this because I think that he just does a great job of pointing this out here. So let me just get to it before I then share my screen. Okay, so his tweet here, if you guys can see it, says VeVe gold logo value, not just wait, is this it? Is this the wrong? Not even on the right post, guys. What am I doing? Here we go. There we go. So the co-founders of VeVe printed 250 cards each and intended to give them to people they wanted to meet again. What a brilliant idea to make it limited quantity and to put a digital version on VeVe Official. How generous of them to thoughtfully curate gifts for these holders of their cards each year. By the way, that to me is one of the things that brings that value, is the physical items that are attached to that. On top of the ability, then there's like a VeVe gold and silver logo party where you get to interact with Dan and David. Like that's the value that it brings, because Superstar Money had talked about like people putting money on that, and the reason for that value is this utility, right? So the brilliance and generosity is reflected in how this card is valued. No one tells anyone who to give their business cards to, because ultimately what these are limited edition business cards of Dan and David that they've signed, right? And they give that, and it has that voucher. So that's where Sanjay's saying these business cards. And so no one should have any illusion that they have the right to tell them who to give it to, or who they deserve it, or if they deserve it, right? Which is true, right? So the founders can say, Dan and David can say, hey, we're going to give it to people in person, and then they can pivot from that. Like things change, and I think that they realize there's like, man, there's going to be a lot of people that we're not going to be able to see before potentially these get given out all the way, and so maybe we should step back from just giving it to people in person. And we've already seen that. We saw Omili Tees get one, right? Claritza got like gifted a logo, like they've never met in person, but they got gifted those as well, right? And so the founders do have the opportunity to honestly give these out to whoever they want in whatever form they want. And again, like to call that corrupt, like that's where I kind of felt like it was a hit piece, like that one, to call it corrupt just because. So Loco gave Dan stuff, and he's like, hey, I'm going to give you this. That's great. And then I can't even bring up the other Danny Boy one because I don't even know the full context. So maybe like if it was used as hush money, okay, then okay, maybe like that seems like an issue, right? Like, but I don't know that, and I'm not going to make a video using that as one of my support prongs for why this is a corrupt collectible without that context. And that's why, guys, like I did feel like that was a hit piece. And so like going along these lines, right? Sergio Collects put out this tweet basically asking whether or not they felt like Superstar Money was biased against VeVe. I haven't seen the results of that, but I think that the reason that a tweet like that even exists is because we see pieces like this, like videos like this, that call out VeVe, and sometimes appropriately. But then other times, like in this one, I feel like it was extremely harsh and not well supported, and it does come off more as a hit piece. And what I'm not seeing from Superstar Money is the video about Cryptoys and the buy one get one, and how that hosed people like me who like was an OG, like one of the first people to really like in the VeVe community start buying these things, because I met what's her name? I just blanked out on it. At New York Comic Con, and Steph Sudo, and she told me about it, and I got dropped a He-Man collectible. I was like, this is awesome. The animation's awesome, super cool. So then I bought a ton of them, and then after that they did this buy one get one, and I was like, what the heck? Like my things just got devalued, like by half. And in Superstar Money's video on this one just recently, where they talked about the Battlestar Galactica piece, and then how they minted more, and like, you know, like all of that. I'm like, that's like basically the exact same thing that happened with Cryptoys, and I'm not seeing videos like that. So look, they don't have to do videos like that, right? But when people sit there and say, I feel like there's a bias there, those are the support examples where people start to look at that and say, I don't feel like this is totally objective. It feels like there's hit pieces here on VeVe. And we're not seeing, you know, complaints or pointing out faults of any of these other platforms, specifically Cryptoys, right? And because they are ambassadors, that's the tie-in that people are making. Now, I like Cryptoys. I want Cryptoys to succeed. I'm excited actually to go into their like little world and to use some of my Cryptoys and things. So like, I want them to succeed as well. But would it be nice if they had done a video like talking about that as well? Yeah. So I struggle again sometimes when I'm watching those videos and saying, okay, is there bias here? Are they leaving things out? Like, for example, when they talked about Loco, right? They left out the fact that like Loco, like for a long time was saying some pretty nasty things about the team. And that's one of the reasons that people were upset that Loco got it. You know, they're like, this guy's like attacked VeVe, some of the team members on VeVe, like, should he be getting a collectible? Now, my stance is this: whether or not you agree with how Loco acted, Loco sent the cards. He fulfilled his part of the bargain. He deserved that logo. Whether you like it or not is a different thing. But like, I am super glad that David fulfilled that part of that bargain, because he should have. If that was promised, you know. Now, David could have said, hey, I don't appreciate how you've been attacking some of the community or some team members and things, and I'd love you to kind of dial that back or issue an apology beforehand. He could have done that. He didn't. He just gave it to him, and I think that was the right play. I don't think that he should have like leveraged that and said, you need to do this, because that wasn't part of the original deal. So yeah, sorry. Anyways, let's get back to some of these comments here. Kumo, rates incoming? I believe so. Yeah, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. What's up, Adrian? How you doing? Vegan things? You know, my wife actually went vegan for quite some time. And there were some pretty cool like substitutes actually. But I'm still a omnivore at heart, but definitely respect the time it takes to find alternatives there and to be dedicated to that. Dave, my man, Dave, appreciate you. That's very kind. He says, Doc, you are the main man, 100% on point every week. And Kumo, I agree with this, right? I've also met the team, but Kumo says, I've met the team. I trust them. Mistakes, and I can, I'm going to get back to the rest of it. Mr. MC1's comments here on screen in a second, but mistakes will and have been done. In leadership, you sometimes have 8 reasons to make a decision, but you might only be able to talk about 2 of the reasons legally. Yeah, like agreed there. So sorry, I got sidetracked. Let's go back to Sanjay's tweets here. I'm so delighted they have opened up the criteria to give it to people they meet virtually to enable people they like globally to have one. Completely agree with that, right? Using the card to celebrate a big collector, passionate fan that connects with them in some way, a new fan they would like to see in VeVe, reward employees or make peace with anyone is really their call. Let's respect and celebrate brilliant people being generous. And I agree, at the end of the day, they can give it to whoever they want. That being said, there is perception. And that's where I'm like, look, if someone wants to say it's perceived as like not being fair, and like, I think that there's a difference between not being fair and being corrupt. And that's like, that's a real, and maybe it's just, you know, like a clickbait title, like that term to kind of just drive reaction. Okay. But not a fan of that. Like just corrupt, like that. The connotations for that are just so negative. Like it's like evil, right? And like I definitely didn't like that, you know. But anyways, again, like these are just my opinions. And at the end of the day, I do like Superstar Money. I do think that they work hard. And appreciate a lot of the content they do. I don't always agree with it, just like a lot of people don't always agree with what I say, right? So then Sanjay, to finish it out, says 5 stars is what this card is, and for those who hope to receive one of the remaining 30-ish, continue to inspire and influence to win that honor from David and Daniel. VeVe Gold logo holders at San Diego Comic-Con. I will have more news for you shortly on the fan appreciation event to celebrate the team and artists. Super looking forward to that. So I appreciate Sanjay's perspective, and I at the end of the day agree, right? These founders can do whatever they want with it. On the flip side, people can perceive it how they want, how they perceive those actions from the team, how those are given out and stuff. But we don't get to really tell them how to do it, but we can say, hey, you know, this is how we feel about it. That's fine. But again, when I feel like the examples used to say that this is corrupt, I just don't think that they fit here. Omar says, them clickbaits aren't working anymore. Oh, doggone it. Eccles, you are the man, dude. I always forget. I always forget this. I would love it if you could smash, push, crush, just gently caress, guys. The like, subscribe, all notifications button. I would love to get monetized. I'd love to get to 1,000 subscribers. And you guys just liking that, like, helps push the algorithm, like, get the algorithm to push my videos out. I haven't done a lot in a while, and I know that consistency is key. Family stuff kind of takes precedence. That's why I missed Omi is my homie on Wednesday. But whenever I can, I really love to dive into this. And I do feel like I offer perspective, being in the finance industry and things that like a lot of people just don't have in this space, right? And we're going to get into some of that perspective here in just a little bit. So thank you, Eccles. Appreciate you, fam. Let's see. Great point stock, says Mr. MC1. Appreciate you. Turtle, shout out to the Gold Dragon Club. They did some giveaways on my channel. I really appreciate that to help get my subscribers up. 1,728 subscribers, bro. I don't have 1,728 subscribers. Let's be honest here. but would I like that? Yes, I would. But we're getting there. We're slowly climbing up. Let's see where I'm at here, guys. 728 subscribers. So about 200, little over 250 more, and I'll get there. Oh, that was future me commenting. Should have read that next comment. That's great. SoCal disagrees with me, right? He says the gold silver logo implementation and execution is as screwed up as the rest of the stuff they do. Okay, like I get, like how is it supposed to be done, right? Like I feel like sometimes we feel entitled somehow to sit there and be like, well, you should do it this way. It's like, bro, like they can do it however they want, you know. Look, I've been putting out content for a long time. Even before I had my own channel, I was on Crypto Rain's channel literally every week talking about VeVe and Ecomi, right? Like Crypto Rain, he was the second YouTuber to ever talk about VeVe and Ecomi. Look it up on YouTube. Second person ever. And he's the only one of those initial people that have done it. Still doesn't have a logo. He doesn't complain about it, right? I don't know. I think that they can do whatever they want with it. I purchased one. I would love to be given one, and then I would just sell my other one so that I can get like the whole, like from the beginning, all of those airdrops. But it is what it is. I'm not going to complain. So let's see. Thoughts on how Ecomi could draw non-crypto users in the app to use Omi for the first time? If a certain tactic was overly successful in its uptake, do you think it could be to financial detriment to VeVe? So I think that Omi, the NFT, will expose non-crypto users to Omi. I think that's coming soon, guys. Like I said, if it doesn't come by the end of August, I'll make a video. You guys have my word. I'll make a video on that saying, look, this is a concern that they can't get Omi to NFT. And I'll list reasons of why I think that might be the case. But like at the end of the day, they're saying OMI is the top priority for 2024, and we don't have OMI to NFT 8 months into the year. I'm concerned because that is a big impetus for a lot of other things for OMI. So I think OMI to NFT, and let me tell you the reason for that, Dave. They do OMI to NFT, and then they make it easier to access OMI on the app. I think that there are going to be some incentives, one of them being cash out, as to why you're going to want to transact in OMI. Because right now there's a 10% cash out fee, right, through fiat. You will not have that cash out fee in OMI. Now there might be, and this is my guess, is that there's going to be a burn mechanism tied to OMI to NFT. And so there will be an uptick in like the cost to purchase a collectible in OMI, potentially. But then at the end of the day, that cash out fee is cheaper. So if you're selling an OMI, and maybe it's the seller, I don't know, but somehow there's going to be a fee in OMI, and a portion of like that purchase in OMI is going to be burned. But at the end of the day, it's still going to be a lot less than the 10% cash out fee. So that would be an incentive there. And there is potential that certain secondary items or VeVe specific IP can be OMI only. And if they make it easy for people to purchase OMI, I keep saying on the app. Let me take a step back. This is something that I've been looking at in the industry that I think people have been missing. And one of the reasons I think it's been taking longer than normal for them to implement this OMI to NFT. The Dapper Labs decision, right? Like the SEC, that whole lawsuit, one of the things that they said was basically like, hey, you guys own the Flow blockchain and you manage the marketplace and things. And so you're in complete control of everything. And so like your NFTs are potentially securities. The judge basically said, you have not met the threshold to prove that your NFTs are not securities. So the lawsuit is moving forward. That's what's happened. Now there's been kind of an agreement between the class action lawsuit and Dapper Labs, where basically they're spinning off the ownership of the blockchain into a DAO, but then also like the ownership of the marketplace is no longer run by them. So there's that the marketplace is no longer run by Dapper Labs specifically. The second one is you see Cryptoys, and they have a marketplace where it can buy and sell using crypto, right? But it's not owned or run by Cryptoys. That's important. You need that. I think that you need that distance, according to this Dapper Labs lawsuit. And so they use Rarible. And so my guess is that VeVe is using a third party for a marketplace where OMI to NFT will take place. That just makes sense to me. So I don't know how that's all going to happen, but wherever that OMI to NFT stuff takes place, maybe it will be on the app. But if it's not, wherever it is, that it's easy to purchase that OMI, and that there's reasons to use that OMI. I mean, we already have this soft staking, I call it, just for holding the OMI there. There's benefits for that, MCP points and other things that I think normies will be like, okay, like that makes sense to me. But then even like bronze tickets, I think that are coming and using those only by, you can only purchase those using OMI. There's a lot of things that they can start doing to really expand the OMI use case that will bring normies into that. So hopefully that answers your question there. Back to the gold and silver logo. It's not a drop on VeVe. It's a one-on-one gift of a business card that has digital equivalent, completely their call, who they give their business card to. Yeah, and I agree with that, Sanjay. Dan and Dave's business card signed by them is 100% their decision. They can modify the criteria anytime. You can tell how passionate Sanjay feels about that. And look, as a businessman himself, I do appreciate a lot of Sanjay's takes. Like in the business world, I think he's got a lot of like incredible real world experience at very large companies. And I really weight his comments and his opinions heavily. So Big A says the Superstar video wasn't saying VeVe is corrupt, just bringing up collectibles with some drama around them. Title was kind of tongue in cheek. Right. I'll say this though, Big A, and this is if you're saying a collectible, what is done with a collectible is corrupt, you're implying that whoever's doing that, like, is acting in a corrupt manner, right? Like I don't know how you get away from that. Like I inferred that, right? And maybe wrongfully so, but like if you're saying, hey, the way that this collectible is being used by the founders is corrupt, like I don't know how you get away from like not taking away that, like, hey, it sounds like the founders are doing some corrupt things. And so like if that's not what they meant, right? Like I think that maybe not using such strong language, I don't know. I like, again, it's perception. So that's definitely how I perceived it, man. Big A sent me a TM. I'll check that in just a little bit. SoCal, yeah, they can absolutely do whatever they want with it with that gold and silver logo. Cryptoys is using a ghost token. It's not your actual flow NFT. VeVe should be able to do this also, no? On base. Like, what do you mean they're using a ghost token? They're reminting the NFT like onto the blockchain, basically, if that's what you mean by the ghost token, right? It's not your actual flow NFT. It's still an NFT. And there's some other things around that too, right? That I would love Superstar Money to talk about just because they're an ambassador and explain it to people. But like I've read the terms and service, and basically like if you do a transaction off Rarible, if you sell that on OpenSea or Blur, one of their things, it basically voids the NFT, right? And they can take it from you. They can basically strip that away from you. I think that's important to know, because what if and the reason they would do that is to avoid the royalties on Rarible, right? So someone's like, oh, I'm going to sell this on Blur. I'm not going to have to pay a royalty. Someone buys that, and then they go and they're like, like maybe, and they don't know that you can't buy it off of OpenSea or some other place. And they're like, I'm going to just be on Rarible. That's where most of the action is. They sell that back on Rarible. Someone buys that on Rarible, not knowing that it went onto OpenSea, and that's when it's caught. There's some big concerns about that process, right? That I think would be very helpful for Superstar Money as their ambassador to point out. It's not FUD. It's just like, this is the reality. And I like that you can buy it using crypto. Like I love what they've done, but then also like pointing out kind of like the concerns around that, or like the protocols or the safety mechanisms that should be in place, or that protocols or some sort of description, right? Like on the NFT, like if this is sold off, like I think that'd be very helpful. Let's see, sorry. I agree, maybe using corrupt to clickbait was a little too strong, but watching the video was more like these collectibles were handled wrong. I find them generally pretty fair. Yeah, look, generally, I do feel like they're pretty fair, right? Like, and I've said that, but I definitely felt like this take, it seemed a lot more like a hit piece with the language that was used and the examples that were used. I don't feel like they were well supported. But again, I like Superstar Monies, right? And I'm sure that people will make comments on stuff with me. I'm always trying to improve. People point out mistakes or something that I've said wrong, and I take a step back and look at it and see if I agree. And if I do, then I admit when I'm wrong, you know. Oh, well, this is good to know. You can't sell it on OpenSea or Blur. It's blocked if you try. That's great. I didn't know that. That's awesome. So it'd be interesting to see if there was some other mechanism that people could use to try to sell that off, and maybe they can't. So great information there. I've gotten into VeVe. Zombie says, I've gotten into it with them before because I called out how they slammed everything negatively towards VeVe, and this is another example. Yeah, look, I mean, again, I'm going to get off the topic of Superstar Money. Ultimately, I like them. I think they're good guys. I do think that some of their content, the perception is that it is geared towards a lot more negative on VeVe and no negativity towards other platforms. And that's okay. They can do that, right? But then if someone's saying, hey, this is happening, and they push back on that, then I guess people could, that's where people would be like, I feel like that's not being intellectually honest. Vladimir, what's up, man? I appreciate you. Vladimir comments quite a bit in the comments down below after the YouTube. That's another way that kind of helps push out my stream. So I appreciate you, man. I appreciate all the people who support my channel. Thank you very much. Is T-Beasts OG says, is McFarlane the same Big A? Just about selling collectibles on Rarible. So, okay. Man, guys, just 41 minutes on the first two topics. I was like, oh, this is only gonna be like an hour stream, and we'll see. I'm gonna jump into a little bit more on the crypto side of things, but I love. Look, if you guys have more comments, I'm all about just chatting with the community. Like that's the main thing. I love interacting with you guys. I'm here to try to provide my insights and information. So if there's more you guys want to talk about VeVe, I'm down with it. I'm super stoked about New York Comic Con and what's coming and some of the announcements. David, you talked about physical comics again that are going to happen, and that there's going to be some variants. And so I don't know if that means just like the virgin cover or if there's like additional variants on top of that. That would be interesting to see. But really excited for some of the announcements. They have their own booth. They also have their own booth at D23, which is going to be huge. But my first time at San Diego Comic-Con, dude, I'm going to be like a kid in a candy store. It's going to be wild. But I'm going to be sticking out like a sore thumb because I will not have a costume. Yeah, it is what it is. Okay, guys. SAB 121, right? So for you guys who don't know what this is, it's basically like an accounting standard put in place by the SEC. Now, the first controversy about this is, let me back up and kind of tell you guys about rulemaking. Okay, so Congress will pass a law. The law will be typically pretty vague. Okay, like it's pretty open-ended. And basically, then what happens is the regulator, whoever is tied to, like, so if they make a law about, fish gaming, like then the Fish and Gaming Wildlife Commission, like they're in charge of that, right? Or if they make, like something to do with securities, then the SEC, right, is the one who kind of makes the regulations to enforce the law. So that's what's happened. But one of the things that's kind of required is a notice of proposed rulemaking. So as an agency is looking at establishing regulations or rules to enforce the law, they are supposed to put out and basically say, hey, guys, here's kind of like a rough draft of the regulation that's coming out. We're going to give you 90 days to provide feedback to the industry, and the industry can write back and be like, here's what's wrong with this. Here are our thoughts, right? And then the regulator takes that into consideration, and then they implement the reg. Now, technically, they could throw out all of the recommendations issued by the industry, but in general, they actually do take quite a few of those comments and incorporate that and kind of change that rough draft to make the final version of the draft. The SEC didn't do that, right, with SAB 121. And what SAB 121 does is it basically says, hey, institutions, if you're going to custody digital assets, you have to have that like as a liability and a corresponding asset. And what that, typically when you're custodying something, it's like off balance sheet. It's in a like, so like they're custodying it. It's not actually theirs. It's not on their balance sheet. But by bringing it on their balance sheet, they actually have to hold capital against those assets now. And it basically makes it it basically makes it so no institution is going to do that because they're not making enough money off of those custodied assets for that to ever make sense. And the SEC knew that, right? It basically was a way to force institutions not to hold digital assets whatsoever. So that's SAB 121. It's pretty messed up. So what happens is Congress finds out about this, and they're like, you bypassed the notice of proposed rulemaking. You're not supposed to do that. Well, forget you. We're gonna like tear this down, right? So Congress, it passes the House and the Senate, and basically to strip that from being a regulation. But then Biden vetoes that. Okay, so Biden's like, nope, it's still gonna happen. Now, just recently, so what happens when Biden or the president vetoes a bill? It can go back to Congress, and if the majority of Congress votes, they can actually veto the veto, right, and push it forward, so that like no one source has like this infinite power. Well, unfortunately, it did not pass. Congress did not veto the veto, So SAB 121 as it stands is in play. Now, let me take a step back and say, well, why does this even matter? Why does it matter whether or not institutions could custody assets or not? Well, there are a lot of very wealthy people who don't want to have their assets on Coinbase. Like, they don't know Coinbase, they don't trust Coinbase, but they trust their financial advisors. They trust the UBSs of the world, the Fidelities of the world, right? And so they're just like, hey, we want to purchase the Bitcoin, and you just custody it for us, right? You have the cold storage, you have the air gaps, like you have all of that security in place, and we don't have to worry about it. We trust you a lot more than we trust Coinbase or some of these other institutions. That allows for a lot more individual rich people to actually purchase the asset and hold that and take that out of circulation. So it definitely would be good for price to have that in there. And so I think that there's a lot of people who actually would purchase crypto and just hold it. Now, why wouldn't they want to just purchase the Bitcoin ETF? There's a lot of different reasons for that I won't get into, but let me just say that sometimes people just actually like to hold the Bitcoin, right? To be the owner of that. And there's a lot of regulations with the Bitcoin ETF, spot ETF, that just they aren't attached necessarily to the actual digital asset of Bitcoin. So now we get into, let's see. First of all, let's go back to some comments. Chris, what's up, Chris? I haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you. Appreciate that. He says, Doc in the house. VeVe Zombie, I'm definitely going to get one of those Stanley jackets. Man, those Stanley jackets are sick. And that's what TGB, I keep saying TGBs, T-Beast OG. How you feel about the Multiverse Clothing Company collab, avatar clothes? I'm stoked. I think it's super awesome. I really am, depending on the price point. Guys, if that jacket's $400, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I did just spend $400 on 20 Wolverine or Hulk 181 comics. So we'll see. We'll see there. But O'Milly Tees, shout out, man. You're here. Shout out to look, if you're coming to Deadpool Wolverine in San Diego Comic-Con, you got to get one of these shirts, man. Everyone's going to be wearing it. And people will ask about that when they just see a massive group wearing these shirts. Plus, they're dope, man. I don't know if you saw, but like you can see right, it's Deadpool. It's a great shirt, man. I love it. So shout out to you, O'Milly. Definitely get that. And look, this is another O'Milly tee back there, right? Super awesome. So, okay, back to this, guys. Chevron Deference. I don't know if you guys heard of that. You know what it is, but it's a massive deal. Not just in crypto, but like throughout the entire world, this is a massive deal. And to give you a little bit, and I talked about this a little bit on Omi is My Homie last week, but for those who didn't watch that or don't know, Chevron Deference, basically what it said is that when a company, right, is filing a lawsuit or disagreeing with a regulator on something, and it's taken to court, Chevron Deference says, hey, the courts are going to defer to the regulator's take as long as that take is reasonable, right? Now, this is why this is important, is because, like I said, the laws are made pretty vague, and then the regulators interpret that law and make regulation. It's going to be very interesting to see now, because what the law actually says compared to how the regulator interprets that law is there's a lot of room for things to swing wildly in either direction, guys, like crazy. But one of them is the SEC and SAB 121. So because of the Chevron Deference now, I'm expecting to see at some point a lawsuit by one of these major companies basically disagreeing with SAB 121 and saying, look, this is not reasonable. They do not require, with any other custody of any other assets, they don't require it to be on balance sheet like that. Digital assets are the only thing How is that reasonable? That's not reasonable. So I imagine that that's actually a pretty easy win for the crypto industry, that they will be able to strike that down, take it to court. Now, it might take some time, but guys, this puts things like, I don't know. I in general actually don't feel good about the Chevron deference. I think in general it's good when a regulator goes rogue. That then the challenges, it can be very easy for the industry to basically point out how this regulator's takes on things are not reasonable, like the SEC. Everything's a security comment type stuff, right? Like this regulation by enforcement crap, like that's all not reasonable stuff. So I'm excited for that. But what we're also going to see happen, and again, this is in healthcare, this is in fish and wildlife, banking, like I can't even think of oil and gas, like everywhere. It's going to be crazy because now, like in general, regulators are experts in that area, right? Like they really are. And most of the time those regulations make a lot of sense. But now it's like, do they wipe away all of the interpretations? Like, are some grandfathered in? It's going to be wild. So, and man, I could talk about that for a super long time, just about the impact of this. But at the end of the day, in the short term, it's actually really good for crypto, because I do believe that the industry is going to be able to file some of these lawsuits. And look, the SEC is already losing the majority of their lawsuits anyways. Let's be honest here. They're already losing the majority of them, but this is going to make them lose even more because their stance has been so unreasonable. It's just wild that we can see that it's politics and not actual like logic behind that. So here's another thing that I just came across that I thought was interesting, right? Because I don't know if you saw it, but Coinbase, they sued the SEC and the FDIC, right? And so it was interesting to see this right here. Okay, so I don't know if you guys know what's going on at the FDIC, but the current chairman, Martin Grunberg, hold on, I'm going to present my... Okay. He is going to be stepping down here shortly. There's some articles in the Wall Street Journal that came out about sexual harassment and some other stuff, and so there's this big kerfuffle over there. And basically, the chairman is going to be leaving, and so the Democrats have actually put forward a new nominee. And basically, this is from Cointelegraph, right? But they say, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation chair nominee stated her position on banks custodying digital assets amid the failure of Congress to overturn SAB 121. And so her name is Christy Goldsmith Romero. And then basically she said, when prompted by Senator Cynthia Lummis, the FDIC nominee responded that crypto is another business just like any other business, before explaining her belief that it is not the FDIC's role to instruct banks on which assets to custody or hold. So if you take that in conjunction with the potential for lawsuits to come the industry's way on how regulators are taking that, that's pretty bullish to have one of these regulators in the banking industry. Now she isn't she hasn't been nominated. I mean, she's been nominated, but she hasn't been voted in yet. However, I've also read that it doesn't look like Republicans have really pushed back on her nomination. So there's a pretty good chance that she could step in as the chair of the FDIC and could have a very favorable outlook on digital assets in general. And if those things can start coming into the banking system, that's a lot more money. That's a lot more money that can touch the space. Apart from ETFs and all that. I mean, this is wild stuff. So let's see what some of the comments. TB Stoji says he should do Omi shirts to match the hats. That'd be cool. Amelia's saying that they're on their way. Let's go, Thomas. Oh, bro, I don't want to get into the into the goblin picks. Oh, Millie, man, dude, I gotta be careful now. Look at my Twitter, bro. Freaking seeing some of that stuff you're posting. You're killing me. What? Hey, VeVe Digital Collectibles just said, great to see you live today. That just made my day. Thank you so much for the support. And one thing that I've noticed, and shout out to MC, and I don't know if this is MC behind it, but in general, since he's become the community manager, he has done a phenomenal job at supporting all sorts of content creators. And that just gives us like a lot of energy, man. So whoever is behind the handle right now, thank you so much. Like, it's great. It's great to get that acknowledgement, just for you to take the time to step in and just say what's up. That's freaking awesome. Thank you so much. What up, Bill Gardner? Bill, I need to, dude, I'm so sorry. We still need to talk about Earth 2 and that land. I got on the website and dude, there was so much. It was overwhelming, man. I was like, and I feel like I'm pretty good at like a lot of information. And I was like, this is wild. I feel like you and I need to have a call about that to walk me through that. But I really appreciate that land gift. That was super cool. Crypto Cash Flow, what up? This guy is legit. If you guys don't know Crypto Cash Flow, he's been in VeVe for quite some time too. I definitely consider him an OG, but this guy knows a lot about finances. Love his takes on things. Okay, so back to all of this. So in general, crypto has been down, right? I'm gonna pull up CoinGecko here, and let's just like look at Bitcoin. And now Bitcoin has come up a little bit. What just happened? Where did Bitcoin go? Okay, let's go to Bitcoin. There we go. Okay. So as you can see here with Bitcoin, 24 hours, doing pretty good. But and even the 7-day, I think like it's actually kind of on an uptrend, like a little bit, right? But like it got down all the way to 55K, and people are like, "Yo, I thought that this was like the bull run." People have been talking about the bull run, like what's happening, and it's like, well, let's give a little bit of perspective. I mean, over the last year, Bitcoin has it's done a pretty good run up, right? But if you take a look, and Crypto Rain does this a lot too, but you'll kind of see the Bitcoin halving. Look at these dates, guys, and you could even do this before, but like the Bitcoin halving happens, and then like prices are kind of down, and there's kind of this area, right, where it's down, like it's kind of like, I don't know, fluctuating up and down, right? Oscillating, but like not crazy. Like there's a decent dip, and then it kind of oscillates a moment. There's a little bit, and then bam. And I just feel like we're getting to that point in this time frame. If you look at this, this is May, June, July, sitting here, and when does it really start skyrocketing? October into December, right, is where we see, and all the way into April area, right, where we really see like the peaks here. So and this was a really interesting one as well, right, because there was kind of like a double top there, which was not typical in the previous Bitcoin cycles there. So I think that what we're starting to see is there's projected rate cuts. Kumo had talked about rate cuts. There's projected rate cuts that are coming around September. Why is that important? Even if it's just like a 25 basis point rate cut, it signals to the market that there's like a loosening of credit standards. And when that happens, then the industry, and I say the industry, like, I mean, hedge funds, banks, like investing, like all of that goes into a more risk-on profile, right? And that's where money can flow into riskier assets like digital assets like Bitcoin and so on. So projected rate cuts in September. You've got the election coming up, and you've got, Donald Trump, like him or not, who's claiming he's the crypto president or Bitcoin president. I think he's actually speaking at a Bitcoin conference. I don't know if that's confirmed, but there's rumors about that, right? So I think that could play a role in things, like if Biden is reelected, that might cool the market for a little bit. But if that risk on, if the interest rates are cut, guys, like the money that could flow into the system, everything is about liquidity. It really is. I can't say that enough. Everything about price is tied to liquidity. The more money is flowing, the more things go up. And so when you get risk on, that's when more money flows in to the system there. And on top of that, it could be that the Fed prints even like more money as well to support. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. But with the Chevron Deference, I think that we're going to start seeing some lawsuits, and depends on how long those take. But more victories, I think, are going to make it more bullish when you've got now a proposed new chair ahead of the regulatory agency that seems to be like open to digital assets and banks custodying those assets. That opens up a lot more liquidity into the markets there. So I think that we're still on pace, guys. And so what I am doing, right, when I talk about not financial advice at the beginning of this, what I am doing is I'm stacking a lot of different projects that I feel like have dipped pretty significantly, that are out of the limelight. And we'll see. But I am not investing anything I can't afford to lose. I think that that's so important, guys. And like I talk to, like I've been on Omi is my homie all the time with Randy, right? And I'll say like I think it's wild that he has diversified a little bit, which is great. For the longest time, it was just a single asset with Omi, and he was okay with that risk tolerance. This is what I think is super important, and why like it's so important, like not to take things as financial advice. My financial situation is different than your situation. That's different from another person's situation. We all have different financial situations. We all have different risk thresholds. That's so important to realize there, right? And so for someone, $200 might be a lot of money. For someone, $20,000 might not be a lot of money, right? So you should only put in what you can afford to lose, first and foremost, because the minute that you put in more than you can afford to lose, you become emotional about that, and you will make terrible decisions every time. You'll make terrible decisions with it, guys. Do not put yourself in that situation. You're setting yourself up for failure. But like I am stacking as much as possible, and we'll see how it goes. Now, I told my wife this. I said, look, at the end of this year, like I'm kind of done putting in money. And like, let's say that for whatever reason, September, October, crypto doesn't pump. I'm going to continue to stack. I'm going to continue to stack till December. Now, if crypto starts to pump, I might take profits from one and roll it into others, that haven't popped, do something like that. And then I might stop putting in my own funds at that point, right? But there's a hard stop for me putting in funds at the end of this year. And it's either like my premise was right and there will be another bull market, or there won't. And like, regardless, that's what I'm doing there. So she's finally bought into that, because she was like, yo, like, when are you going to stop putting money into crypto? And I was like, well, this is my premise, and explained it all to her. But that's what I'm doing, guys. Like, I still think that we have a lot of room to go pretty crazy. And I'm trying to buy those tokens that are down, because I'm not a day trader. And so I look at some people and they're like, oh, I got like a 3X. And sometimes some of my like pre-sales, they'll do a 3X, right? And that's great. Or some of the tokens I got, I'll take profits on some of those. But for the most part, I'm looking for those much bigger multiples. I'm not here to make 50 grand, 100 grand. It's not going to do a lot for me. It's not. Like, I'm here to make multi-million dollars like in this. And so And I've definitely put in a lot of money into this, and we'll see how that plays out. But I know I'd like to hear you guys' thoughts on what you guys think. Is the bull run over? Like, is this done? Like, what's happening? What are your guys' thoughts? Bill Gardner says, yeah, we should do that. I will hit you up, Bill. I want to do that. And he says, so more time to stack. Mr. MC1, I want to, like, if you're still here, I was talking to Crypto Cosmo, and he was saying that he was on a space with you, and you were taking down some of the notes. Crypto Cosmo is legit. He knows some of the stuff, but I'm a little hurt, bro, that you haven't reached out to me about that. And you're taking notes from Crypto Cosmo. All right. Big A says he's building new positions. Oh, he says building new positions in crypto can be tough because you're basically at nonstop losses, buying lower and lower before it takes off. Did the same in 2018 with Bitcoin and ETH. It's true, guys. Like, that is why, like, a lot of people just don't make it in crypto. The mental fortitude that you have to have, like, you have to believe that premise that we're in a cycle, that there's going to be another, like, uptrend in this cycle. But when that is, like, people are just like, oh, it's going to be now. A lot of people thought it was going to be now. And so we're starting to see, I've seen people who've held OMI since 2018, and they're done. They're just like, it's never going to happen. I believe it is, and I'm holding on to that. And like, but you're seeing a lot of people who they just give up. They can't. And I don't know whether they're just like, there's an emotional tie to, like, they feel frustrated that things haven't been done. This is specific to OMI, but like, there's a lot of other projects like that, like Ape or Bored Ape Yacht Club and the Ape token, and like the promises that were made about that, and people are fed up and they're selling their Bored Ape. There's a lot of things, but like, all I can say is historically, when things are the most down in the dumps, the people who bought at those times when it was just like, oh, this is over, it's not happening, there's no super cycle, like there's not another bull run, the people that just didn't listen to the crowd and did what they felt like good about doing, like investing in, got some massive rewards there. So VeVe Zombie says, let this be a warning. If politicians are banned from investing in the stock market, that means they will exit all at the same time and have no accountability when the stock market crashes. So what VeVe Zombie is talking about is there's this law that's being proposed. I don't know if it's passed, VeVe Zombie. Maybe you can tell me that. But where basically, yeah, like politicians won't be able to. But there's like some like timelines, right? Like, I think, and the problem is, it's like you can ban politicians from investing, but you can't. I don't know how they get like the authority to ban their family members from investing. And so they'll just have their family members invest. You know what I mean? Like, it's like the system is set up, guys, against us. And that's why I think so many people like crypto, is because for the first time ever, you can front run a lot of like these other people and a lot of non in the circle, top 1% people have made millions from it. And that's not how, they don't like that, right? The system doesn't like that. Okay. Sanjay is still here. Yeah, he's laughing. Exactly. I had to give you a hard time about that, man. That's just messed up. VeVe Zombie says, let me just my tinfoil hat. Big A, he says, I capitulated my OMI bags last June, not because I thought OMI was dead. It's because I thought I could do better sooner elsewhere. I put that money in AVAX and still over 2x since buy, instead down 30%. So here's a take on that. And this is just my perspective on that. Like, I will never fault anyone who's like, oh, you sold. People got to do what they got to do, man, for their mental health. If they're just like, I can't handle this anymore, whether it's OMI or another token, right? Like, you got to do what's best for you. I'll never fault people for selling, right? And to Big A's point, right? So right now his AVAX gains are 2x, whereas OMI was 30% down from where he sold. For me, I don't look at things on a day-to-day basis. And what happens, and this did happen to me last cycle, where there was a token where I was like, it's not moving, I believe in it, but like, I'm going to sell out and then I'll get back in. Well, I sold out And I was like, oh, I was exactly like this. I was like, oh, this other token I got into, it did a lot better for me. I'm so stoked. But instead of then taking some of those gains and re-entering into my position in the other token, I never did that. And then that token did way more gains than the tokens that I bought into. So for me, I learned that lesson that I'm just like, the tokens that I'm most bullish on, I'm just gonna dollar cost average, and like I'm still putting money into other things too, right? So, but I've just learned that about myself, that I'm like, if I sell out of a token, it's very rare that I remember to go back in and buy back in that position. And then I just in the past missed out on some massive gains where that token that I sold out of way outperformed the other token that in the short term did outperform. So just another perspective there. I'm with Eccles, though, that I'm hoping things go sideways or lower. The rest of 2024, I mean, look, if I could pack my bags until then, like I said, end of 2024 is when I have put a hard stop. There is, I've been wanting a truck for so long. I'm going to buy a freaking epic truck next year. And that's what I'm going to stop putting money into crypto and just buy this truck that I've been wanting for a long, long time. And we'll see. I'll just ride out whether or not crypto plays out the way I think it is or doesn't. I'm okay. And that's the position I hope all of you guys are in, is that if crypto doesn't pan out, if it all goes to zero, that you walk away and we can all be pissed and be like, yo, what did we miss? Right? Like, how did we miss this? But like, we're not just financially devastated. Please don't do that to yourself. That's all I can ask. Dave, guys, I bought this drink. I haven't drinking anything from it. I'm freaking thirsty. So Dave says, one last question. If OMI utility is the main priority of 2024, do you think that there is a possibility that the VeVeVerse is being held back to land concurrently with OMI integration? That's a good question. I don't think so, to be honest. I don't fully know what. Okay, there may be the chance that the VeVeVerse is too technical. Because I was looking at like Tell's video and stuff, and all of the stuff that he built, and I was like, how long did it take you to do that? And like what's and maybe there is just like plug and play. It's like you click on this. I'm going to say this because there's a project called Network, okay, and that didn't pan out, and we'll see. But some of the videos, what they had built out was basically like you click here and the building just goes. Like, it was very easy to build stuff. But from Tell's description, like it didn't sound like that was the case. So if it's too technical, I would imagine that they've got to dumb it down a little bit and make it easier for people to build stuff. Maybe that's the case. Maybe there's the third party that they're having issues with. Like, I don't know, man. Dave, I have wondered about the VeVeVerse. I don't have a good answer to that, but I don't think that it's being held back so that they can land concurrently with the OMI integration. Like, once you have OMI to NFT, then you're also going to get the VeVeVerse. I could be wrong. That could be the case. So anyways, let's see then. Ryan, what's up, Ryan? He said, did you post a link to the AI video? No, but I can. I can post that link. I'll tweet that out later today. Kumo says, thoughts on D23. VeVe will be there. Okay, look, this is definitely Speculation Nation, but you guys, like, I don't know. I guess I'd love to hear your guys' takes on this, but there's that video of Fortnite, right? And that land, and there's the partner statue is there. So, like, I am wondering if there is some sort of collaboration with Disney, VeVe, and Fortnite in some way, shape, or form. I don't know what that would be, to be honest. And again, this is a Speculation Nation. That's Disney's IP, and they could just have the partner statue. The partner statue is integral to Disney, right? So, but I'm very interested to see. If there's any sort of gaming tie-in that's announced at Disney with VeVe. but we could see some sort of like, I don't know, platinum moments or some other kind of like new shiny Disney IP. I don't know. But what we are seeing is those landscapes. What did you guys think of that? I actually think that that's pretty awesome. The diorama, right? King Triton's diorama or the Little Mermaid, where basically you're going to be able to create like a lot more scenes. I'm excited to see what the Vaultaholics do with his dioramas. Pretty significant, man. So it'll be cool to see. But what other dioramas could they have, right? Could they have Toy Story's like Andy's bedroom? Could they have the Death Star? Yeah, well, first of all, we need the Death Star collectible. VeVe, if you're still watching, when Death Star, when Millennium Falcon, I want some of those things, man. I want to blow up Alderaan, you know? Come on. Yeah. But these dioramas are going to be pretty cool. And it's just limitless, like the different scenes that these dioramas they could have, and people could play with those collectibles. And like my daughter's not like a big Little Mermaid fan. But so like I'm waiting for like Elsa, the Ice Castle or something diorama, something along those lines that I'll pick up, and then the different items. And I'm excited to get my iPad and kind of like play around with that with my daughter. So, but Kumo, I think it's a big deal that they're with Disney, like, and that they have their own booth at D23. And I hope that people can take a step back and look at like the macro of all of these things that are happening. So they have manga now, right? They just did this Ultraman. They're going to D23. They have their own separate booth at New York San Diego Comic Con. And I heard some FUD originally. They're like, oh, Marvel's breaking off from them, you know? And it's just like, actually, I think it allows them to do a lot more, because when they're partnered with Marvel, I think that they kind of have to stick a lot of things just specific to Marvel. Whereas when they have their own booth, there's a lot more of their IP that they can kind of work with at that Comic-Con. I think that that's pretty important to do. So it gives them a lot more freedom there. And so guys, I'm like so pumped for my first Comic-Con, that at San Diego Comic-Con, that I've got my gold and silver logo, going to go to that party, going to just like meet all the VeVe fam. Oh, dude, it's going to be freaking phenomenal. I hope that you guys can make it. Anyone who's there, let's make sure that we meet up, guys. I give y'all hugs. I'm a hugger. And you're going to have to tell me if you're not a hugger, because I'm going to go in for the hug. So anyway, Seasick Viking says, you the man, Doc, same. I'm still rocking my 1999 Ford F-350 7.3. I can't sell her, but I may pair her up with a new Ram Charger. Yeah, I've never had a truck, and just like there's so many things that you can do with a truck that I just have had to borrow people's trucks, or like I'm sick of it. And so like I think that I've just held out for so long that that's why I'm just gonna freaking go massive on this truck. I was talking to my brother, and he was like, I don't think that you need like, you know, a 350 engine. And I was like, yeah, but I might in the future. So why not just buy it now? Right, guys? Why would I want to buy like an F-150? And I still don't know which truck I'm gonna like get. It's between Ford and GM, actually, to be honest. But like, I would hate to buy like the F-150 and then buy this massive camper, because our family goes camping a ton, and then be like, I gotta get a bigger engine. I can't tow this thing, or a boat, right? And I can't tow these things. So I'm like, why don't I just freaking get this 350 that's gonna last me freaking. I mean, he just said he's still rocking his 1999. How freaking old is that thing? 25 years. I buy this thing, I'm gonna have it for a long time. So yeah. So Big A says diorama was a win drop, surprisingly. Made 30 gems profit and still have it at 999 rare. This was another step in the right direction for VeVe. Yeah, I didn't do the diorama. I was busy today, so I didn't get to that. And that was something I was just like, I'll check it out maybe on the secondary, but didn't go for the drop. So it sounds like, yeah, that's awesome that you were able to get a win for that. Echo says, if that Fortnite video is in fact a metaverse, there's a good chance VeVe has something to do with it, since Marvel NFTs are exclusive to VeVe at the moment. That's a big if, though. And that's kind of my supposition, right? It is a big if, but like if it is a metaverse, and Disney's doing that. Because people have been like, well, they can just create new NFTs, and it's like, why? But why though? Why can't they just integrate what they get and make sure that they're still getting the royalties? If everything has to be bought and sold on VeVe, they're getting royalties from that. Why not integrate that in? I don't know. It doesn't make sense to have like a separate NFT, a second partner statue just for Fortnite. That's also an NFT in my mind. And maybe I'm wrong there. Let's see. So Jackson says, Omi unfortunately is a dead coin in a dead narrative, only worth owning if you're a collector within VeVe, which is why I personally own it. Own Omi if you want perks for VeVe, nothing more. And like, I disagree. I don't think that the token is dead. I have dead tokens in my wallet. Like, there are tokens that are dead. Is there a lot of action right now on Omi? No. But because of the tie-in with the company, and like, it could easily hit a narrative that shoots Omi into the like greater view of the crypto space, and it could take off. And so I'm not willing to take that chance. I don't see this dead. And the more utility they bring out, there's also other benefits. Even if the price didn't appreciate, there'd be other benefits. But my bet and my money is on the fact that it is not dead. Win Batcave diorama. Yes, Ed. Yes. Oh man, I just got like chills thinking of all of the things that you could do with that freaking Batcave, man, in our collectibles. That would be so sick. We need Rideable Dragons ASAP. House of the Dragon is getting crazy. I haven't watched that. I haven't watched House of the Dragon. I'm a little disillusioned, guys, in Game of Thrones, and like that, man, that ending. I read all the books, okay, and the show veered off the books pretty quickly, and I think it kind of had to. The books did some crazy things with like Catherine Stark, wow, like it's crazy, but like that ending has to go down in history as one of the like top 3 worst endings of any series of all time. It was just like I invested so much time into this for that to be the ending, just awful. That I'm kind of like, screw you guys, I'm not watching anymore your crap because you're just going to do it again. So maybe I need to change my mind on that. Alcon said a few years ago that they had a partnership with Fortnite on a video. Bill, could you send me that? I don't remember that. That would be awesome. And then like I feel like that would add way more support to that Speculation Nation if there was that there. Big A's got some nice cars. I've seen your cars, picture your cars. If they're really your cars, though, right? Big A? No, I think they are. But he says, I have a 2-person sports car, just enough room in my truck for my tools, for any repairs at my rentals. Not super practical, but so fun. So I had a 77 Corvette that I just love. I love the C3 body style on this. And like, it was not practical. It was a money pit. I was constantly throwing money in to repair that thing. But, dude, it was so rad. I would pull up to stoplights, right? And, like, didn't matter who it was, like, and what they were driving. They could have been driving, like, a super nice car as well. That was, like, $100,000 Corvette or, like a Lambo or something. And they'd still turn and look and be like, this is so fun. Not practical. My wife hated it because I was like, yo, when you open the door in the garage, like, do not ding my car. She did not like it. She hated that thing. But I eventually sold it. But I will get another one back at some point. Kumo says he got a reservation for the Cybertruck. Should come next year. If Omi pops, I'll get it. Kumo, I'm really interested, man. I've seen some crazy videos of, like, safety issues with that Cybertruck. Yeah, I don't know. They look amazing though. Like, as I've driven past a couple now, and those things are imposing, like, forces of nature. Like, you just look at that and you're just like, whoa. I mean, they definitely stand out. And if you're looking for looks, you will get looks. Energy says, when Star Wars Chalmun Spaceport Cantina and the Cantina. Oh, yes. Yes, the Cantina band. See, look, like I said, the possibilities are endless with these dioramas. that we could put in there. It's just so many scenes to recreate. And that'd be fun if some of it was animated. What if the diorama, like you clicked on it, right? You hit play, and then all of a sudden, like they were playing the music, and those people were like moving or something. You could do a video of that. That would be phenomenal. So look, we're already. It's like, hey, when like animated dioramas, VeVe. When animated dioramas. It just came out with dioramas, but now we want animated. Let's go. Bill says, I just pull a trailer with my Crosstrek Sport when I need to get something big for rentals. So I have an SUV and I have a trailer and I'll tote some stuff there, but like it's still just a pain, man. When I can just like throw things in the back of a truck. Yeah. And again, even just like the towing capacity, like we're going up to this lake for a family reunion here soon, and like I've got to tow the trailer and like potentially some jet skis, and I'm like, I don't know if my SUV can handle that. We'll see. So Egla says the reason season 8 of Game of Thrones was rushed is because the creators got Star Wars movie deal to get to. They ended up ditching the Star Wars movie for Netflix. No integrity. Yeah, man. I mean, that could have gone down as like truly like the #1 series of all time. And the example I have of like a series that did that was Breaking Bad for me. They didn't like lengthen it out just to like draw in more money. They could have, right? They could have kept the series going. But like I think that they just ended it at the right time, and what an epic ending. Like to this day, that is my favorite series of all time now. Because of that. They stayed true to the characters. They didn't milk it. They didn't milk the viewership and stuff. Like they wrapped it all up, and it was just beautiful, man. What a freaking epic. And I felt like Game of Thrones could have done that, and they didn't. Shame on those freaking sellouts, you know? One other thing I wanted to talk about, I want to get you guys' thoughts on this too. I've seen a lot of complaint, and Randy's talked a lot about the Mighties, right? This Mighties drop that's coming on Saturday. And I want like that, the 88. So this is what I think is funny is people are like, hey, I want I want drops to where there's a good return on my money. Right. Well, one of the best ways to do that is to have a collectible that's super scarce. So then you have the people wanting that. So then VeVe's like, okay, well, let's do that. So then they make this, SR Spider-Man Noir super limited, right? 88 editions. And now there's an uproar and being like, this is crazy. Like the likelihood of getting this is basically like 0% chance. It is crazy. It is crazy. I'd love to hear you guys' comments on like whether you like that or not. But I will say like that can be frustrating for the people who are just like, I'm trying to collect all of the sets. And now with 88 editions, like that is going to be extremely pricey to get. There's pros and cons of that. If you land it, you can make a lot of money. And then the people who have the money and can collect that, they're going to be stoked because that's a big flex piece for them. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But I want to ask you guys another quick question here is, so I'm going to San Diego Comic-Con, right? And I'm going to have a press pass. And I've heard that the Wi-Fi is pretty shoddy. So I actually might have to just record a lot of the videos and then like upload them after the fact. So I might do some editing. I don't know. I don't know what to expect there. But what's some of the content that you guys would like to see? Obviously, I'm going to cover VeVe, right? Like I'm going to spend a lot of time on VeVe. And I do want to go to Candy Digital. I want to go to McFarlane Toys. And if Cryptoys is there, I want to go there, right? And I'd love to interview that. And I'd love to ask Will, on that buy one, get one. And if they're going to ever do anything, to make it right with the OGs who originally supported him. And maybe his answer will be no. But then we have an answer, and that's good. But yeah, are there any other, as people are looking at some of the, they're starting to release information on who's going to be there. And one of the requests is Marvel does this presentation and they don't allow any recording or like live streaming during it. So they were like, hey, will you go to that and then do a live stream afterwards talking about what they announced? I'm definitely going to do that. but would love to hear like any requests, right? Like, because I'm doing this for you guys, man. I want to include you guys to be part of New York Comic Con or San Diego Comic Con. I remember when oh, I just blinked out on his name. Why did I blink out on his name? But he always be like, hey, when he'd come in. Super funny guy, but he did a live stream of the Comic Con one year, and it was awesome to see all of that. So I want to do some of that, but would love to, love to hear any other things that you guys would like me to cover, right? Because I want to do it for the people who support me, who watch this. Want to make sure that you guys are getting value out of watching my channel. Let me see if there's any other topics here that I was going to cover that I had said I was going to cover real quick. Let's see. Yeah. There we go. All right. So no, yeah, it looks like I've covered everything there. I'm not seeing any other comments rolling in, guys. So I think I'm going to call it now, but I'm so glad it's been so long since I've been able to do a full-on solo live stream with everyone and kind of just share my thoughts on what's going on there. But man, I just want, like, at the end of the day, I'm grateful for the VeVe fam, and like I think that VeVe is going to make it long term. I do, and I do believe that digital collecting is going to be a very big thing in the future. And so I love interacting with the VeVe fam, but like I am hodling a lot of my collectibles and picking up things that I think will do well over time. And I know that the team has made mistakes. No one is perfect. Try to acknowledge those mistakes, and I'll continue to try to be as honest. Like, I try to be as unbiased as possible. I think that's a little hard. I think that to an extent there is some bias leaning towards being, like, when I see something, taking a more positive look on things initially. But like, there's definitely been things that have been pointed out where I'm like, okay, like I see it that way. But I always try to offer you guys a fair perspective on things, and call it as I see it. I hope you guys take value in that. And so, just in ending, again, I would love it if you guys could smash, push, crush, or gently caress the like, subscribe, and all notification button. And then also, if you guys would love to comment down below, right, and tell me what you guys would like me to cover at San Diego Comic-Con, really love that. So with that, I'm going to end the stream, and appreciate all of you guys. Peace out.